Hey, this is Nic Romolini, and welcome to episode 5 of The Blank Page, a podcast about creativity, neuroses, and where the two meet. It's been a couple months since I've released an episode, and it was a tough couple months. There were a series of crippling panic attacks, a lot of fear of dying, and generalized anxiety that made it hard to function day in and day out. It was quite a dark time, as I'm sure it has been for most everybody. And we got through it, and here we are. So I'm recording this in January 2021. This episode is with Ricardo Ultreras, and it was recorded in October 2020. It's been quite an enlightening experience to go back and compare and contrast where I was at the time of this recording versus where I am now, for reasons both uplifting and harrowing. Some of the things we discussed in this episode are confidence, machismo, atheism and Catholicism, alienation, isolation, feelings of belonging, universal truth in storytelling and how the personal becomes universal, knowing your limitations, how writing is rewriting, collaborations, dropping out of film school, perfectionism, obsessiveness, measuring ourselves against others, making shitty decisions, squandering our time, fatherhood and how it changes your goals and your perspective. And towards the end of the conversation, we actually started to talk about some bands that we both like, which was a welcome shift from where my psyche was for the majority of this episode. I'm extremely grateful to Ricardo for being so generous with his time. He offered some great advice and wisdom, and he came from a real place of kindness. And I really appreciated having a conversation with him. Oh, and I've been told that if you rate and review and subscribe, it'll help this podcast reach more people. So if you could do that, it would be much appreciated. Thank you, all of you, for listening to this. It really means a lot that you take the time to check this out. Hopefully I'll be back in the mix now and I'll get another episode coming out soon. So with that said, enjoy my conversation with writer-director Ricardo Ultreras.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you see
I can
me?
hear you.
Okay for work.
You sound great, man.
Ah, thanks, man. So do you.
Oh, thanks.
It's good to hear your voice.
Good mic.
It's I gotta say, it's strange calling into my own show.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a control thing, you know. I mean, when you first when you first mentioned this as a thing, I think my asshole tightened immediately, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
you're allowed to.
Well, you don't realize you're a control freak until something that you normally control is out of your control.
Yeah, dude.
You know?
I mostly did it because I didn't want to have to record my side of it.
I see.
Because I'm like, I gotta set up fucking Audition or Pro Tools.
Here's the thing. Your episode is gonna sound better than anybody else so far, and probably anybody else for the next 3 months until people are actually comfortable enough to like come to my crib and sit 6 feet away from me, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm super out of sorts right now. Like, I called into my own show. I'd normally be out in the garage, but I'm not in the garage because it's nighttime and I don't really have a nighttime setup. There are multiple fucking things right now that just already have me off kilter.
I love that. You're not going to fall. You're not going to be comfortable. I like it.
So, yeah, man, I'm in my kid's playroom, which is doubling as my office right now, you know? So I'm just like fucking tripping over monster trucks and Matchbox cars and shit. So you strike me as a kind of confident dude. I don't know if it's real or it feels real. you come across. All right, let me back up here.
Back it up.
Are you feeling confident right now? Like where is your confidence level?
If I'm being terribly honest, my confidence level is always like at a 9
out of 10.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Probably my mom. She loved me too much. I'm Mexican, so like I like everything to my mom. So
right. So your mom's endless love for you gave you an infinite well of confidence. It's funny. I'm Italian American, and my mom loved me a lot too. And my confidence level vacillates somewhere between like a 1 and a 14. And when it's at the 14, it's completely manufactured. I'm working on it. I'm working on feeling a little more confident, but
I think, well, here's the thing is I've never had therapy or anything like that. Maybe a little bit, but
just the taste.
Yeah, just to get a taste. But from what I like, everything stems from like I know a lot of people who have low self-esteem, and it's mostly, if it's a dude, it's because of their mom usually. Like, either my mom worked too much, she wasn't around, or she gave me too much love. I think my mom gave me like just the right amount of love.
Right.
That I'm like, I'm pretty, like, I don't think I fake the confidence. I try not to fake anything.
I don't get that vibe from you at all. I don't think you're inauthentic in any way. I actually get a vibe of self-assuredness, actually. And like, you don't really care. It seems to me what others think, and also where you're at and what you're doing. Like, you just seem very comfortable in your skin, and that to me is an enviable characteristic.
Yeah, maybe it's because I'm an atheist. like I'm not working towards anything, just myself. Like I'm not accruing points.
That could become a thing though too. If your only focus is on yourself, I mean that could backfire. Clearly it hasn't, but
I don't think. I guess I misspoke when I said myself. I guess what I'm concentrating on is myself in the moment. Yeah,
right.
I can't control anything else. I can't control the universe. I think when I die, that'll be it. So I have to enjoy this moment and be when you die, there's nothing. I don't leave a legacy. Look, my son will remember me for a generation. Maybe his son will remember me, or his daughter, his kids.
Right.
But in like 3 generations, I'll be forgotten. So this is all I have. And I don't want to be a dick. I mean, I've been a dick, but I don't want to leave that earth knowing like, man, I just could have been a little nicer to some people. And I don't know, or untrue to myself.
Yeah, you seem very true to yourself, which is really important, and unconcerned with how you're perceived, which is probably one of the biggest things that I still have to work on, is like that people pleasing and that sort of perfectionism, and that like I can't let anybody see that somebody else is better than me or have somebody not like me. I have that. If somebody doesn't like me or somebody thinks something ill of me, it's really hard for me. And I'm trying to work on that shit.
A lot of people know this about me, but when I know somebody doesn't like me, it doesn't turn me on sexually, but mentally, Like there's something about it, like that someone like would put that much thought into it that they would be like, I don't like that guy. That's kind of interesting. That's why like
emotionally arousing.
Yeah. Like it's deep in the psyche that you're like, man, I'm proud of myself.
Right.
That person doesn't fucking like me.
Right.
And guess what? I don't like them, but I don't give them a second thought, but they're definitely thinking about me.
Right. Yeah. You get to take up all that space with no effort.
Yeah.
So you're Mexican. You grew up here in LA?
Born and raised, man.
Are you first generation?
Or
like, are both
so it's kind of weird. So my dad is like my stepdad. So like on that side, the roots are weird. Like
Okay.
so on my mom's side, my grandfather was born here. Like we're like old Californians.
Okay.
And on my dad's side, coincidentally, his mother was also born here. So like it's weird. Like yes, we're Mexican, but like it's weird. We're like old Mexico because California used to be Mexico. So it's like
Right.
I always think of me as Californian. I'm a Californian.
Right.
Whatever.
But you're like
whether-
a Californian American, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're a Californian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's trippy. You guys are the first people here, man.
Yeah. That's funny. I've been doing that stupid like ancestry thing, and like I've been finding so many things about like my grandfather's mom and stuff, like in like closer to like San Francisco and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, it does go back a couple of generations.
That shit scares me to death, doing that ancestry stuff. Like, I know what I know, and I'm going to keep trying to explore to learn more about, you know, both sides of my family. But
Yeah.
the DNA shit, like the blood shit, I don't need to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you open up a can of worms and you're like, oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. How
so
the
like,
fuck is there Norwegian in there, you know?
I know. My situation's kind of weird because so like my stepdad, I married my mom when I was 3. So like I don't know any other dad but him. Like he's my dad for
You
all.
don't know your biological father.
No. So like he's my dad, and he's probably like, if I could have picked a dad, that's the dude I would have picked. Like no fucking complaints at all.
That's amazing.
Like, which is weird.
Lucky
for
motherfucker.
Yeah,
Seriously, man.
Yeah,
You hit the fucking lottery.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that have stepdads, and they're like, oh yeah, I have had like 2 stepdads, and they're all dicks. But now, like, I would say maybe my sister has something to say, because like I feel like I was treated better because of that. Like they went the extra mile to be like, well, you know, we have to be nicer to you, so you don't ever feel like left out or anything.
Is your sister half sister?
No, well, yeah,
Like,
well, like so, like my stepdad is her dad,
Right.
So
they went the extra mile with you, always going out of their way.
Exactly.
So you didn't feel out of place.
Yeah.
That's fucking fantastic, dude. No wonder you walk through the world with a sort of air of comfortability and self-confidence, I guess. Did you grow up Catholic?
Yeah, I was an altar boy.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I love me some Catholicism. I spent like 20 something years just trying to undo all that fucking guilt and shame that's just ingrained in me. Which again, you didn't get, even though you were an altar boy, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't. So like I was in it till like maybe like 13. About 12, 13. Fuck. And then my dad was like, yeah, you don't have to do this, man. Because my dad studied like all kinds of religions, like Scientology, Pentecostal, like all of them. He was just curious. He was just a curious dude.
Got it.
So if anybody invited him to like mass or a service or anything like that, he'd be like, yeah, I'll go. And so like he's like, there are all these things. I mean, if you're doing good, then you do whatever you want.
Right.
You don't have to go to church. You don't have to do anything.
Right.
And so like I just stopped doing it. And I was like, oh, that's fucking cool, man.
I stopped doing it too, actually. I mean, I went to like CCD. I didn't go to Catholic school or anything. Yeah. CCD is like it's the once a week Sunday school thing. But yeah, I was like confirmed. I did all the fucking things. Yeah, and then my mom was like, yeah, dude, you're done. You're good. Because like my parents, you know, they were deeply entrenched in like Italian American culture. But my parents were like fucking hippies too. So like there's like all this like Italian macho shit happening mixed with like they were fucking vegans in the 70s. Like they were like crystal healing and shit. Like when I had really bad rage issues when I was like 12, 13, my mom sent me to like her crystal healing therapist or whatever.
That's crazy.
But you know, it's fucking trippy.
But you still had like the male like macho thing.
Still had the male macho thing. Yeah, dude, that shit's fucked me up my whole life. Like that tough guy thing, because I was never a tough guy, you know. I thought I was. People still think I am, but I'm not. I'm a big fucking softy, you know.
I never got that. I don't. I mean, I get angry. I have the anger, but it's more towards like the world in general, not towards anybody in particular. And so, I mean, some people get in the way of it, but it's more towards the world. But yeah, I didn't get it. I don't have that ego of like, fuck, dude, I gotta be better. Well, I mean, there is. I mean, you have to be competitive to, you know, in life to better yourself, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't have it to like where like, you know, I don't have to prove anything to myself or other people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The anger's a motherfucker, though. I mean, it just, you know, it comes from sadness, I think, and sort of unresolved shit. Your stepdad, though, sounds like a fucking cool dude. What did he do professionally? What does he do? Who's he into?
Well, maybe that's deep down.
Or your dad. I don't know. You want to just call him dad?
Maybe, I call him my dad. I think maybe deep down, that's why I have anger, because I'm like, I don't know my real dad. That fucker left me.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's got to be buried in there somewhere. Yeah. But if you never go to therapy, you never have to address it.
Nope. Never have to talk about it. My dad, he owned like a few shoe repair shops. Like he was like a cobbler kind of. Like,
oh, cool.
He did work for like people who were handicapped. Like he would do like their shoes. Like he did well because a lot of, you know, when you have like a foot that's bigger than the other, you get those weird Frankenstein shoes. And what he started doing is like, he's like, oh, just bring me your Nikes, buy a pair of Nikes and I'll make them so you could wear cool shoes and not have to worry about wearing.
That's fucking sick, dude.
And so he got a lot of business that way.
That's what's up.
Just doing.
That's what's up. How about your mom?
My mom, she has always worked in a factory. She plates parts for like the space shuttle.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That's cool.
When that space shuttle blew up, there was a huge investigation at her job, but it was fine. They were cleared.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
So you're I mean, you're a trailblazer as far as like being, I mean, of course, cobbling, like that's a real fucking creative trade.
Blue collar workers.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah. Generations of blue collar workers.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my siblings are the first to get degrees. I mean, I still have cousins who couldn't even fucking fathom of, you know, following their dreams to this degree. I mean, whatever fucking degree I'm following my dreams to, but even that this is a possibility beyond like swinging a hammer or breaking somebody's legs. Yeah, but you know, we've talked in the past about like alienation and isolation. I mean, I want to get into the creative shit and the writing shit, but like, I don't know. Do you feel, because me personally, I struggle a lot with feelings of belonging and feelings of not fitting in, and I think they're really exacerbated since I moved to California, and I stick out like a sore thumb. I had a dude at this job who's from Northern California be like, we just think that, you know, Italians from the Northeast are just, you know, racist. Like just straight up, like exactly what they've been depicted as in movies. And you know, I have that barrier to entry, I feel like, in everything I do, and I really feel like I don't fit in this strange place, and I think I could capitalize on that for sure, but like that isolation as an artist is really fucking challenging.
Yeah. No, I feel it too. I feel it culturally as well, because I mean, I'm born here, but like I was born here, but I'm not, like, if you see America as a whole, I'm like a foreigner. You know what I mean? Right. I'm not of this, even though I am. Even though like you could trace back a couple of generations of my family back to California, probably when it was Mexico, but because of the world we live in, I'm classified as like, well, you're not. I mean, you came here. It's like, well, yeah, you came here too,
right?
Just a long time ago, before I did, you know,
right?
Before my family did, but I think I feel that isolation because I don't also fit in Mexico. You know what I mean? Like I've visited, I've visited a lot as a kid. Hell, I visited like last year. I hadn't been back in like over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And I took my wife, my kid, and we went to visit last year. And it was definitely like a weird, it was great for like the artistic part of me, because there was a lot of feelings to be like to process and stuff and kind of dig into. But it was definitely like, oh man, I don't fit in here. The people in Mexico see me as a foreigner, and the people here see me as a foreigner. So I'm like in this weird limbo.
You're a man without a home.
Yeah.
in like multiple, I mean, no matter where you go.
Yeah. Like you have to, I'm not white enough to be white, and I'm not brown enough to be brown.
Fuck.
I'm in a weird.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. How does that inform your work? Does it inform your writing work? I write really personal stories, and I actually think that holds me up in a lot of ways, and that's something I would like to talk about as well. But how does that feeling of not belonging like influence what you do, what you write, how you move through the world?
So like I haven't broken it down because you don't want to dig too deep, into those.
You don't,
but I don't. Yeah,
but I do.
I mean, meaning I don't.
I'm trying to.
No, I mean, I don't mind I don't mind digging into them, but it's like part of me feels like, man, like that's what gives me the edge,
Sure.
So let's not poke there.
I know.
Let's let it come out on the paper or like whatever the fuck you're doing artistically. But I think that so like a lot of the things I navigate towards, like artistically, or dark stuff, like music. I listen to like The National, a lot of like depressing kind of like adult angst type of thing.
Sure.
And even like movies, like I like dark movies that have like dark themes, and they kind of float in like the depressing, like anything that's still, I love. Like Terrence Malick is my jam,
Sure.
And I think maybe it's because like I don't feel depression. I don't, like, if you describe it, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever felt that feeling. Right. I don't know if I've felt a lot of feelings, to be honest. So maybe that's why
scrape around too much. Yeah. You won't have to feel them.
Yeah. And so maybe that's why I navigate. I float towards like the dark stuff.
Do you write dark shit? Do you direct dark shit? Is the shit you make generally dark?
I feel like the stuff I end up writing and directing it used to be. Now it's changing. Now I'm like, let's fucking do it. Let's do a comedy. Let's do a stupid screwball comedy.
Sure.
But
fuck it.
It used to be just dark stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's always a friend who had committed suicide. And I never had a friend who was committed suicide. So it's like, there was always just dark themes. And there's always like either just people talking and they're, they lost somebody or they lost something. But yeah, but as of lately, maybe because I had a kid or something, maybe that's I could write brighter things.
Right. I could write a genre thing and it's fine.
Yeah. And now, and before, I feel like, don't you feel like when you were younger, you're like, man, I have this artistic thing, and it's like all like bullshit thing, like that you have. I think maybe that's part of the macho thing, like that you're like, I gotta like, I can't sell out. When now, like, that's the dream. Like, I want to sell out. I want to make an Adam Sandler movie. You know what I mean?
Right. No, totally.
Like selling out is the dream now.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like I had this conversation with somebody about the Marvel movies, and I don't aspire to directing a Marvel movie, and maybe this exact moment in time will come back to bite me in the ass in 2028. But like, I really fucking don't. I cling to that authenticity, and I cling to my history, and I cling to my roots, and I think that nobody else can tell these stories but me. Like, I am the keeper of these stories that are my truth and my family's truth, and
yeah.
And it fucks me up though, and I think it makes it harder to actually write the projects and actually like get through things because they're so deeply personal, I guess.
Yeah, but I think like that when you get a shot to like do something like that big, you have the opportunity to do that in a weird hidden level. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you look at, take for instance, like we're talking about superheroes. Take for instance, like Tony Stark. Like Tony Stark is a fucking dark fucking story, dude. Like he's an alcoholic, dude. He's a narcissistic alcoholic.
Got
and,
it.
And
totally get it, Tony.
Right. And it's kind of there. Like they don't. I mean, it's a Disney movie, so they're not going to go out and say like, "Oh, Tony Stark is a fucking alcoholic." But you can see the layers, the onion layers, and you're like, yeah, like what they're not showing me in the movies, in the 2-hour movie that I'm seeing, is that he probably drinks a lot, and that he's probably lonely, even though he has all these cool superhero friends, and he's doing all these things so the world accepts him and loves him.
And you think it's okay to just have that all be subtext that's unexplored as shit blows up on the screen and there's pretty faces everywhere? I don't know.
I think if you, I think given the opportunity, that's how blockbusters that are good and stand the test of time do it. Is that you put something really deep into something very like pop culture-y, and that's how you connect with people. I think that's how you connect with people on all stories. Like think about like when you see a foreign film, when I saw oh my God, I forgot the name of the movie, the Korean movie that came out a couple years ago that won the Oscar.
The fucking I can't remember.
I'm drawing a blank. But think of any like
it's late, dude. See, this is the problem. It's fucking late. You don't sleep though, right?
No. I'm on like very little sleep.
Like what? 4 hours? 5?
5's good,
dude.
5's really good.
You gotta sleep, man. You can't. Continue to not sleep.
I'm gonna die eventually. I could.
I know, but you're gonna fucking hasten it by not sleeping. You're living out your time in these sleep deprived days. What the fuck is the name of that movie? This is a ridiculous moment. Parasite.
Parasite. That's
fucking
it.
Parasite. Yeah.
Did you look it up, or did you just?
No, it came to me. No. Like I thought about reaching for my phone, but I was like, let's fucking do this 1998 style, you know?
We suffered through this for 20 minutes until we figured it out.
Seriously. Hopefully people are still, nobody's listening anway.
No. They're like, oh, fuck, we lost you at California. So like when you watch a foreign film, I think what you connect to, and even the guy who directed Parasite, like even said so, like you find something that is deeply personal and you bury it like a fucking seed in this movie. And that's the universal part that everybody gets. The parts that you're like, no one's going to get this because this is so personal to me. Those are the parts that most people connect to because they're like, oh, I mean, that wasn't my dad, but man, like that kind of resembles like my brother, or like this resembles like my uncle, or there's always, you're in the ballpark of those feelings.
Sure.
And I think that's why a lot of foreign films and like a lot of things that hit, that you're like, why did this hit? You're like, oh, that's right, because that's the little thing that you think is important. The thing that the studio's like that glossed over.
Right.
That's the universal thing that everyone's like, yeah, that's what we went to see it. That little thing.
That makes sense.
So I don't care. I want to sell out. I want to tell any story, whether it's whatever, man.
Yeah. I mean,
story or directing, or I wish I knew how to write songs. Like it's just any way I could tell the fucking story.
Yeah, I don't know. I write such personal shit. I wish I had the skill set to like write something. Like I'm not good enough. I mean, it sounds like when I hear everything that you're saying, it sounds like that's the real fucking craft. Like that's the real art, to be able to be like, well, yeah, it's like Taxi Driver meets Mrs. Doubtfire meets fucking Reservoir Dogs, you know, and it's about dogs, but it's like, you know, it's some like deeply layered, buried message that, I don't know, man. That feels like the real fucking skill set that I just don't possess.
I think,
and I don't really care, to be honest. Like I'm gonna keep grinding and like trying to fucking write these things that are really hard to write and communicate.
Yeah. I think that's important though. Like that. I think it's important that you know. I think knowing your limitations is very important. Like I know, like in my younger years, I would have taken anything, and like big, like if someone said, "Oh, there's this huge blockbuster, and we fucking found you, dude. Direct this."
Right.
I would have said yes. But now, as an older person, I'm like, well, maybe I'm not the right person for this. Like,
Right.
I can't. Like what Michael Bay does, I can never do. Like, think of it however you think of it.
Sure.
But that man has a talent.
Yeah.
Like to do those crazy things.
Oh, totally.
And I don't have that. I don't have the brain to think that way. But I know my limitations. Like I can't do that. I shouldn't direct that. I think that learning that is when I realized, oh man, I've grown as a human being and as a fucking quote unquote artist.
For sure, like, man. I know it's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fucking hard to say. That's when I don't feel confident. That's right there. I don't like that.
I've been lately just sort of embracing it more. Maybe not this publicly, but I've definitely been embracing it a little. Again, nobody's listening, but I've been embracing like, okay, yeah, this is life as an artist and it's okay. And it's okay to call myself that. I don't know. It seems so fucking pretentious and it seems so outrageously pompous, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like it would have just gotten me my fucking ass kicked my entire childhood,
Yeah. I and also like I feel like I didn't know the word artist till I got into like my 20s and I was like, oh, is that what it is? Like all this bullshit I like,
right? Exactly.
It's artsy shit.
Exactly.
Oh, turns out I like to write things, and oh, that's art, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like also like with you and we've had deep conversations about stuff like this, but that we are into so many things,
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I really like you, is because you're like not like you're like, well, wherever it's going to take me, I'm going to go. Like whether it's like writing, editing, acting, like you're chasing like some sort of truth.
Yeah.
If that's, I know that sounds very pretentious. I know.
It's hard to listen to and be in agreement with, because I have so much self-judgment surrounding every single thing that you're saying that is all very true.
Yeah. You're searching for something, but you don't know what it is. I mean, I'm searching for it too. I mean, and I'll take it any way I can, whether it's in a joke I tell somebody or in a story that I like, just like telling stories of something that happened like last week. I'm going to tell it my way, and I'm going to tell it like with a little style.
It's hard though. I find it really hard to live that way though. I feel there's a lot of chaos in my brain at all times. Like, just as an example, I'm recording this fucking podcast when I have a script that I feel like I'm neglecting, and I'm sitting next to a box of 35 millimeter prints and negatives that I need to sleeve, and like I wrote all these songs and I have all these fucking unfinished songs that it just feels like a fucking, like it's a burden that's bearing down on me, and it's really hard for me to like flip it and embrace it and just be like, yeah, today and I talk about this shit constantly. I talk about how like, yeah, you just gotta fucking follow wherever the creative energy's pulling you on a particular day, but it feels hard to, I don't know, if I spend time doing this thing, I'm taking away from doing this other thing, I guess. I don't know, man.
I used to do this thing where like I would write like 1 page a day. I would just sit down, and if I couldn't think of anything, I'd write, I can't think of anything.
Right.
I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything. And the whole page would be, I can't think of anything.
Dominic, I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Susan, I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Susan can't think of anything as she walks across the room.
And then eventually you just start writing, and you're like, oh, well, this is bullshit what I wrote, but I wrote 2 people having coffee or 2 people having a walk. And then eventually you figure out like, oh, you go to classes and you figure out the craft and you keep working at it. But now as I'm getting older, and I'm like, well, I understand the craft part of it. It's more like, being at the right time or at the right place, knowing the right people, and having the right material for that. that you're like, well, I just have to keep doing it. And now when I write things, I write them procrastinating in that style of procrastination, which is I'm going to write the idea down. I know what the emotion is, but I'm just going to leave it there. And then throughout the days or weeks, like I'm like, oh, remember I was stuck in like the second act, but I just figured it out by just, whether you're just drifting off in a daydream or something, you'll figure it out. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to sit down and write that.
Right.
Sit down and write that. And it's like, okay, I got 5 pages now. All right. And I don't, that's why I think I don't really think in writer's block now. Like, it's like, you'll figure it out, you know?
Yeah. You just have to walk away from it. So the page day thing, no longer a thing.
No. I mean, but now I feel like I break story through procrastination, but right. I could just write, whether it's good or bad. I think that's the part where I knew I've matured, is because it's okay for it to be not perfect before you move on. Like, just write a shitty scene, just get to the next scene, and then you're going to rewrite it anyway. Like, writing is rewriting. So don't worry about it. Like, that's the hardest part, to admit to yourself that, like, don't worry. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time. Go back to it. You can't go first draft. Here you go. Yeah. Bam. Sold. Oscar. Like, that doesn't fucking work that way. Like, listen to like the best writers, and they're like, yeah, it just took 20, 30 fucking drafts before I even showed it to anybody.
I know. It's so hard still for me. And I think it's probably relative to me being so early in this. I mean, you know, I wrote a short maybe 6 years ago that I shot 4 years ago. And I think that was actually my first time ever opening final draft, like in earnest, you know, because I was always, I don't know, writing's always been so fucking intimidating, man. The blank page it's fucking intimidating, you know. And then, you know, I wrote that pilot and I'm working on this feature, but you know, I've 6 pages of 14 different projects that I love this idea of just muscling through, and yet I still can't get myself to do it. I mean, I have like 35 pages of this thing that I'm working on, which feels fucking great, but like, I feel like I had like 32 pages 10 days ago, you know? And like, you know, it's like tapping out those 3 has been fucking agonizing. But I think you're right. I mean, I think you definitely hit on something with the sort of just like sitting in it and not forcing yourself to open up your laptop necessarily, but just being in the feeling of the movie. It's always rattling around in there somewhere,
especially for like original stuff,
right?
I mean, when you have something to do to somebody, then you sit down and you fucking figure it out. But I also like that pressure. I think I work best under pressure,
right?
Like, if something, I mean, I was always the guy who was like, if something was due, if the science project was due on Friday, I'd start working on it on Thursday at like 11 p.m.
Right.
Because I don't know that maybe it's like an edge that I like, or like the danger.
Totally.
I don't know.
If there's no threat, if there's no like external threat, I have no motivation. I gave myself a deadline. I was like, you're going to finish Act 1 by... And dude, I have no fucking... Act 1's going to be like 60 pages. I have no fucking idea like what I'm doing, you know? But I was like, you're going to finish Act 1 by... Today actually was the deadline that I gave myself. And I'm not going to hit it, dude. I'm not going to hit it. And like, I'm just trying to have some fucking grace for myself as like a parent of 2 in a pandemic that's like trying to fucking... not be just like a ball of toxicity at all times, you know?
Yeah.
But it's hard, man.
Yeah.
You finish a lot of shit? Do you write? Do you like finish a lot of fucking projects? Or at least a V1?
Yeah, oh, totally. There's a lot of bullshit shit on my computer that... It's funny, there's this thing I revived that was like from... the last draft I touched was from 2017.
Okay.
And I because of some friends and some like partners and stuff, I said like, I'm going to try to make this like my first like feature. And then
like that you're going to make, or that you're going to
direct and write and direct. Yeah.
Was it the first one that you'd written in 2017?
No. I've written a ton of shit for that.
Oh, really? Features?
Yeah. It was just a thing that I knew, like, okay, I could make it for this budget, and I could sell it and maybe make another one. It's the one where I'm like, I think I can make it. I think I could just ride this train. Sure. If I do this one. Sure. But it's just been sitting there, and we were going to do it at that point, and then like life happened, and then it's not happening. So, and then just recently, my friend who was going to help me produce and stuff, he's like, "Hey, I'm ready. This is how we're going to do it." And he like laid out a plan. I'm like, 100%, we can do it. Like, we can do it. So I have to now actually sit down and like figure out the script that we can actually make, and not this bullshit version that I finished. And I've recently started writing with a new writing partner. Okay. He writes super fast, like unnaturally fast. And at first I was like, oh man, he's writing too fast. I'm looking like a fool. I'm not writing enough. Right. And then eventually I was like, no, like that's just like, I talked to him about it. I'm like, that's just our pace. Like, there's always someone who's going to write more than someone else, or like you always have to find like, what's my place in this? And I know I'm a much better writer as a rewriter than I am as like I like working off of what we have. Right. I like the clay to be there already. I don't want to. You're like one of those fucking producers who won't give me any direction, just lets me agonize over a V1, and then they're like, I just need to see something, and then they give me 100,000 fucking notes. Yeah. I was actually, it's collaboration, right? So I have a partner on this project that I'm writing, and this individual is not working on this project right now. Like the last meeting that we had, we kind of talked about like, let's fucking move forward on this. And this was a couple months ago, and we never set a firm deadline, and I knew that was a problem. And we just like loosely were like, let's do this. And I started writing, and they have been pulled away onto other projects. And I know that I can only fucking control what I can control, but it's really hard to not get a little frustrated and a little resentful, because, this is the project that we're doing together. And I'm just starting to lose interest. And I'm like, all right, well, I have these other things that I actually would like to pursue individually without a collaborator. I think I'm just really fucking struggling with relying on even though I feel like I work really well as a team and really well with somebody augmenting what I bring to the table with what they bring to the table, I think I'm just fucking frustrated of relying on somebody, and I think I just need to write something on my own for once. Have you only had one? How many collaborators have you had throughout these few years?
Well, I wrote the short by myself, and so the pilot that I wrote was with a friend, but I didn't write it with him. We conceived of the concept of the show together, and I wrote the first draft of that completely myself, and then we revised it together. Yeah. And it became more collaborative, but like the first one was all me. And then this one is with somebody else, this current feature that we conceived together and sort of broke up the acts. Like, I'll write act 1, you start on act 2, and we'll reconvene when we finish and, figure out act 3. And like, we have an outline and shit. So like, there's shit for me to work from for sure, but I don't know what it is, man. I just want to get done this act so that my piece of the puzzle is in place and I can start researching the next project, because I don't actually think that I'm a person who can work on multiple things at once. Are you?
Yeah.
No shit. Like multiple features?
Well, like right now we're working on like a pilot and a feature. And I think I like that because you never
keep
get
hearing
stuck.
That.
You never get stuck. You're like, well, when when I'm thinking about this other thing, then I'll jump on this. I'll jump to the feature, and then when I get stuck, I'm like, fuck, where did it go bad? Probably this. I didn't probably set up the beginning, so now the second next fucking week,
Right.
And then when you're like, how do I figure that out? I'm like, well, I'm not gonna waste time. I'm gonna switch over to the other thing, and then you switch over, and you're like, I figured out the other thing. Let me go back, because you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I like the
you're not
thing.
Actively thinking about it. It's just marinating.
And I think with the co-writers, I thought I wasn't that guy for the longest time. Like that same thing happened to me. Like where like someone would like fall out, or I would be the guy who would be like, dude, I'm just too busy with work, or a girlfriend, or whatever X variable it is. And I finally found this one guy who kind of changed my mind, and we ended up doing like this web series that like got a lot of like heat.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, how did I had to like kind of analyze that. It's like, how did that happen? Like, how did we click? And I think I think it was just that we complemented each other. Like we didn't have the same skills, but eventually we did. Like we complement each other. Then we both learn something from each other,
right?
And then like we're like, oh, I used to not be good at this, but he was. But now working with him on 5-6 episodes, now I get that. Now I could write that part of it and stuff,
right?
And even like I was supposed to. So we co-wrote, and I was directing most of the episodes, and then by like the third episode, he was kind of directing them himself because I couldn't be. It was a show based off like an Uber driver.
Okay.
So I couldn't be. We didn't have the budget to like have a rig where I could be in on the picture car with him. So it was with him, and we didn't want to waste actors' time by like, okay, well, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch the take and see how it went. So it was a lot of like the pilot, and like the first 3 episodes were like, well, shit, how did it go, dude? And then he'd be like, because he was acting in it as well. He was co-writing and acting.
Okay.
So he was like, well, this seems a little like it's weak, but maybe it's the writing. And like he would give like me his notes on like how he felt. And again, that dude, I trusted him. Like he was very like truthful with himself as well. Sure. And he was very genuine. So I would like direct like his co-actor. And then I'd be like, all right, well, you have to direct yourself because I didn't see your take. So you have to be honest with yourself and with me, because we'll see this later. So just be honest. I mean, it was unspoken. Right. And I never had problems with him. Like it was always like, I would look at his takes and it was like, fuck, he was very honest, like in the scene and to the directing. And then eventually, like it was more like we were co-directors. Like I would set up the camera we would talk about the scene. We would maybe like walk it through once, and then be like, all right, and then just, I mean, we're shooting with like 2 cameras, so we'll get it. Sure. And it turned more like a improvised play than it did anything else. And I don't know. We learned a lot from each other, and that guy is a guy I'm working with on the feature as well. He'll be like an actor and a producer.
How'd you meet this person?
In this theater group that I was in. I was in this theater group that like Jeff Goldblum started. Okay. And
Playhouse West?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a group of like weird people. I could say it now. I don't give a shit. It was kind of cultish. And,
shit. Okay.
But in like a benign way. Like you could easily get stuck there. I went there to like, I was like a film school dropout.
I feel like so much of that shit, sorry to jump in, but I feel like much of that shit out here is that way. It's like
100%.
I mean, I've done improv and I've been to some acting classes, and like all of it is like you're fucking, you're in or, you're on the fringe and you're completely out. If you're on the fringe, you got to be fucking all the way in. And it's hard when you have relationships hard,
I mean, look at the country. Like I think that's just human beings. Like you navigate towards that without even thinking of it. Right. But yeah, I met him at this thing. That's actually where I met my wife as well. And it was a
very
bunch of
fruitful cult for you.
Yeah, it's very fruitful. But in a cult in the way that like you convince yourself that like, well, as long as I'm doing the work, where it was like, no, they should have taught you to like, no, be hustling out there. And this is where you tune up. You know what I mean?
Right.
But be hustling out there. And it was more like, they weren't doing that. They were more like, no, hustle in here. And then the rest will come. And it was like, no, we got to hustle outside. And we should come here to tune up our instruments, which is, or I was there for writing and directing, and I got to direct the thing is, I got to meet some really cool people, and I got to direct some cool things and write some cool things. And a lot of great people have come out of there. Like James Franco came out of there. A bunch of people you would recognize.
Sure.
But the trick was you have to know when to check out,
Right. Otherwise you're just in there.
You're just stuck. Yeah. You get stuck in a weird loop.
You said you dropped out of film school.
Yeah. I mean, I basically, so like my parents weren't loaded. So like I knew early on, like, oh, okay, I have to pay my own ride.
Sure.
So it was more like, well, what is necessary, and what can I just skip or not do or learn in a different way? So like I went for like creative writing, and then when they were like, well, you have to do your general classes, I'd be like, well, see you later. And then I'd leave that school. And then it's like, okay, well, I want to learn how to do like cinematography, so I'll go to this school. Okay. And then they're like, well, you have to join up, you can't just do these. And then, all right, I'll skip out of that school.
See you guys later.
And then I ended up in the theater, because the deal was, well, you do the theater group, and then no one else wanted, because everyone was there for acting. So no one was going to give a shit if I wanted to direct or write. It's better for them, because it's like, oh, more things for us to work on.
Sure.
So I got to meet some really cool people, and like, I mean, people that I'm still friends with. I married one of them. And I most of the people who I know are really talented came from that place that I'm like, and they're not there anymore. They just like me, they knew when to bounce.
Right.
But yeah, that's basically my training, like theater, which is weird to think. Like I never thought myself as, oh, I'm a theater director / playwright.
Right.
But it just ended up being that way. And I mean, I guess that's important. I mean, I had a screenwriting teacher that was like people will tell you, oh, go study like Chinatown, or go study Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. Yeah. Right. But he's like, go further. Like go back further.
Right. What influenced those?
Go back to like fucking like, go back to like Shakespeare. Go back to Neil Simon. Go back to all the greats. The playwrights.
Right.
I mean, they're just their scripts. They're just
story.
Yeah. It's a story. Same thing.
Yeah.
You're just not. It's not cinematic on paper.
I feel like I have an innate understanding of story, but I don't have an academic understanding of story, at least none that feels really rooted. Like, I mean, I come from a family of great storytellers. I think I was always really fucking intimidated, to be frank, by my father, who is an amazing storyteller, like captivates rooms, has people in stitches, and he was known for his stories. And I think that just bears down on you, or looms over you, I guess, to the point where, it's something that I still am like, well, I don't, my dad's a storyteller, am I a fucking am I a storyteller? Am I good at this?
Yeah. But you think that's just like, again, that goes back to confidence.
Of course,
that doesn't
endless self-doubt.
Your skill. That's not your skill level, though. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the key to my bullshit fucking confidence, is that I'm able to be like, okay, this is my skill level. I need to be at this level, but I'm confident to where I am here. You know? So like, I think it's knowing myself and knowing what's wrong with me is my confidence. And also like not aiming for, I'm always aiming not aiming for the goal. I'm aiming for another thing, if that makes any sense. Like,
Sure.
When we were like teens and like in my early 20s, like friends would be like, how do you have this confidence to like talk to girls at parties or something? And I'm like, I don't. When we're at a party, I'm trying to make you laugh, idiot, not her.
Right.
It's the confidence is a byproduct of trying to make you laugh.
Right.
And
that makes
then
sense.
it seems like it's confidence, but no, I just want to make my friends laugh and have fun. The fact that she thought I was being really confident that's just not my problem.
You achieve a secondary, perhaps more desirable objective by focusing on a completely different objective, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think that I just haven't achieved enough, I guess. It's so far. This is like, it's like embarrassing to hear myself keep talking about this, but like, I don't know how to believe in myself or believe that I'm good enough yet. And I don't know when that comes, I really don't know when I'll be able to be like, yeah, this is good. This is actually objectively good.
But I think don't you think that's when like you're done? Like you're like, oh well, if I don't think I have something to learn, then that's good. I think that's I mean, in moderation, I guess everything, like everything in life. But like that's good. Like I mean, I like that. I like when I'm like, I don't know that. I gotta figure that shit out.
Sure.
With anything, like with like an editing software or like anything like technical or like car related, like. Man, I remember my dad teaching me how to change oil, but he never taught me how to do a tune-up. Fuck it, I want to do it.
Right.
Like just, I think when you think you've figured it out, or when you think you have the confidence, I think that's what kills you, right? I think that's when you're like, it's over.
My friend's a photographer, and he's like, I cracked it, man. Like I figured out how to do this particular form of photography that I've been like striving toward for the last 20 years, and I don't want to do it anymore now. Now I want to write, now I want to pursue all these other creative endeavors because I figured it out. I'm good,
See,
and I think that speaks
that's
to
very
what
honest.
You're saying.
And yeah, like if you figured it out, then there's nothing else to gain from it.
But
so
I just need to feel like I'm capable enough to do the thing. Like I understand what you're saying completely, but I can't get out of my own way enough to, and whatever, I'm getting better. Like I'm going to get this fucking thing out the door, and then I'm setting another deadline for myself to achieve, more shit. But it's just, I don't fucking know, man. It's being a person's a motherfucker. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really fucking hard.
I mean, that's really like where all the angst is for me. It's like nothing matters,
Right. I know. I watched Tree of Life recently, and that was just to bring it back to Terry Malick. Like that was fucking agonizing and beautiful simultaneously, But yeah, I get it. I get hung up on these little fucking things, and I do it in my editing work, and I think I do it in my directing and my writing. I don't do it in acting. Acting is like acting feels extremely pure to me, and it's the place where I feel most myself, and it's the place where I feel most comfortable, and it's also the thing that's like least achievable to do with any regularity out here, I think, and still and still not live with 6 roommates. I mean, I have a wife and 2 kids, and I would love to talk more about acting with you, but like I get hung up on these little details, and like even as an editor, I'll just get fucking stuck. Like, well, if I cut there, then like it's gonna be like, how do you just move from this to that without the connective tissue that doesn't, like, whatever. Like I'll get hung up on little fucking tiny things because I'm obsessive. I'm like an extremely obsessive person and kind of a perfectionist, and then it'll just cripple me and paralyze me. Of course, like when I'm working for somebody or doing, working towards an objective, I can do it, but
yeah, I don't you think that well, you've done.
I'm tired,
You've done movies. You've done movies, right? You've done shorts. You've done the acting
I've directed.
thing.
Yeah.
But don't you think there's two thoughts? I think two frames of thought. Either you make a movie and you see how hard it is, and you're like, you go one way. You either I fell into the side of like, well, fuck, I know how hard it is. I know how all these things have to go right for you to make an okay movie.
Right.
The thing is, I've had so many failures
right.
that I know, like, man, it's hard to make a movie. Like the fact that Adam Sandler gets a movie made every fucking year or twice a year, that's
remarkable.
Whatever he's doing, whatever you think about it, it doesn't matter because he's doing it and he keeps doing it. Totally. It's fine. And I think I've given a lot of movies like a pass because of that, because it's like, well, yeah, it's flawed. Yeah, there's all these things wrong with it, but sometimes that's what you'd have to do to get through it.
I had a friend who just got like a pretty big thing made, and he's like, man, how could you talk shit on anything? Like, as a person who's in this business, who's actually like seen what it takes to get something made, like the audacity that I would have to talk badly about literally almost anything just because it's so challenging to get anything fucking made,
Yeah. Also, there's so many people in the world that like, that's why I appreciate people like Terrence Malick, or even people that, I don't want to say that they're bad, but like that make something you wouldn't classify as art, because you have to understand that here's the thing. And this is hard to swallow. This is very hard to swallow. I think Nickelback doesn't have talent. I think they suck. But my friend once told me, he's like, you have to think that either you have to accept that there's people that have different tastes than you, because if you don't, then either Nickelback sucks and they shouldn't be successful, but they are. So that means that your taste is shitty, dude. Because all these people like Nickelback. And I'm like, yeah, I never thought of that. He's like, so you have to accept that there's people, there's every flavor. People like different flavors of ice cream. Let them eat whatever fucking ice cream they want, and you don't concentrate on that bullshit. Right. Like, I mean, just know. He's like, it's good to. That's where I think where the measuring yourself it comes in. Like, no, okay, this is what I know to be good to me. Okay, like this is a director that I like. X, Michael Mann. I like Michael Mann. I like Christopher Nolan. I like what he's doing. I like all these directors. Where is their talent and where's my talent? Oh, it's nowhere near that. Okay, well, how do I fix that to be my own version of that, but not them? I'm not going to measure myself against them. Right. I just know what's good.
Well, right. I mean, I heard some quote, Ira Glass, and I'm going to really poorly paraphrase it, but it was something along the lines of like, everyone who gets into the creative arts, everyone who gets into writing, into this sort of lane, gets into it because they have really good taste, right? And there's this huge cognitive disconnect between what you know is good and what you're able to create out of the gate.
Yeah.
And it's just endurance that closes that gap. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like, that makes so much sense. But like, what is the person who likes Nickelback and then wants to start a band? Like, how do they fit into that conversation? I
mean, they're gonna make I don't want to talk shit about another band, but I have a lot of bands that I can name that, like the list goes on. Like it's a side that we don't like.
But how does the fucking Ira Glass apply to that? Because they don't. Well, I guess they think that they have good taste.
But here's the thing: is that I get what Ira Glass is saying, but that may be good to them. Like it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder,
Right.
And like it's like that movie Shallow Hell. Did you ever see that movie Shallow Hell?
Yeah, of course.
Like all that matters is that you think that it's beautiful.
Right.
Like that's all the things. All that matters is that you think that that's a good piece of music, or hell, maybe just people just want to not think about the how deep a song is. Totally. They just want to listen to something fun and about their pickup and their fucking beer, and it doesn't matter. It's fine. Like that's it's like stand-ups. Like there's stand-ups that is like Carrot Top, and I don't ever shit on them because that's a talent. I mean, it is. It's a weird talent. But then you have someone like Dane Cook, and you're like, I don't get why he has so many fans, but fuck it, good for him, dude. He's selling out arenas.
This is the second consecutive conversation that Dane Cook's come up, just for the record.
Look, he's out there, man.
He's ubiquitous.
Yeah, and you have people like Louis C.K. or like someone that's like that you're like, oh man, like these people are working on a weird, deeper level. But you need Carrot Top. You need the variety, or else if it was just people, imagine if the world was just filled with people that you found that was great.
Then I would be maddening. I would feel like I had no ownership over anything. I would feel like the most generic. I mean, it would actually literally feel like life was purposeless if everything was what I liked. No, it's a good point. And just like back to the fucking Nickelback thing, like
this episode should be called Nickelback.
The existence of Nickelback it takes up the space that it takes up, and then it allows for the other bands that I like to exist in their space, and not take up Nickelback's space.
Also, it should give you confidence to be like, if there's room in the world for fucking Nickelback, then there's room in the world for fucking me.
I know there's plenty. No, here's the truth of the matter is that I know that I bring a lot to the table, and I know that I have a unique voice and a unique perspective. I do. And I'm going to own that, even though every fucking part of me wants to hate myself for even putting that out in the world right now. I find it almost insurmountable or impossible to get my voice heard, I guess.
You mean because you're not getting the chances? Or?
Well, partially. I mean, I think I've made a lot of missteps in the last 20 years out of a combination of poor guidance and following the wrong people and choosing the wrong people as like my god of the moment. And, atrocious decisions that I made stemming from, really fucking deep-seated issues that I'm just now unpacking in my mid-30s. Late 30s? I don't know. I was 36. I feel like still mid. But I feel like I blew it in a lot of ways. Like, I wanted to so I went to film school, I went to Temple, which nobody's heard of because it's a state school in Philly, and it actually had an LA, a semester in LA that I was like, oh fuck, why would I do that? I got whiskey to drink and cigarettes to smoke in the streets of Philly. But there was a moment when I was like 19 and I was like, I want to be in LA. I want to pursue acting. I want to be out there. I want to sell. And it was, it was maybe a little bit, because I was a little bit off the wall. It was a little bit extreme. And I was like, I want to sell all the shit that I have, or a lot of the shit that I have, and gather up some cash and get in my car and drive to LA and figure it out. And like, I got talked out of it. And I allowed myself to get talked out of it, But I think that I spent so many of my adult years just struggling to be an adult person in the world that I missed a lot of opportunities to throw myself fully into something. I didn't have that Playhouse West experience that you had. I never had that, like, throw myself into something, because I was always, up until pretty much this point when I feel okay to be like inhabiting the space that I'm in, like, I was just like latching on to whatever I felt was going to help me survive, or whatever was going to get me like a little bit closer to death.
That's fucking very interesting, because I feel like I had the opposite thing. which was like, what, you want to do this? Fuck it, let's do it.
Right.
I think I've discovered and made more headspace. I've gotten ahead by just saying yes to things.
Right.
Like, and not being, I think a lot of people think things are beneath them. Like, oh, this thing, and I think I don't have that. It's like, well, fuck it. I mean, I could be digging a ditch for a living, and I don't want to do that. It's a lot of fucking hard labor. It's hard labor.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the sun. So you want me to do this? I'll fucking do it. Fuck it. All right, I'll do it.
Part of me feels like I would be better off just digging a ditch sometimes. And I've said this before. Like, I would just be so much more satisfied just swinging a hammer.
So like the few things that have like kicked my whatever bullshit career I have, kicked it up like a notch, have been because I've said yes. Like one time, my wife had a girlfriend at the time. She had done this movie. She had been like a casting director for this movie, and the guy who wrote it and directed it was a pretty like established writer.
Okay,
but he was kind of making headway, like directing, and we became friendly, just talking and like asking, for advice through email here and there, and we became friendly. And then one day, he reached out and he's like, "Dude, a bunch of extras bailed on me. Will you come be an extra, dude? Is that cool?" And I'm like, I'm not working. Why not? Yes, I'll do it. Like, there's no pay. Right. He had already, the people that were already getting paid were the ones that were going. It was just, he needed bodies in the room. And I'm like, I'll fucking show up. It's fine. And then he gave me the address. And then I got, coincidentally, the guy who I co-wrote this web series with. I'm like, hey, you want to go? And he's like, yeah, I have nothing to do. Let's fucking do it. So we went, and we showed up, and it was a strip club scene. And he's like, oh, here's a bunch of dollars. Like, you're just catered to this strip club. And then the whole day, like, I didn't have to be there. Like, I wasn't getting paid. Like, he was just going out of his way to be like, hey, during lunch, fucking sit with me. Let's fucking talk. And we became really friendly, and we became better friends. And like, this dude like has a major horror movie coming out. Was supposed to come out this year, but they postponed it to next year. But sure. He's a very established dude. And I'm like, oh, by just saying yes to this bullshit thing, like, look, I'm like doing this thing. Like, now I'm friends with, I made a connection. I don't like networking. Right. I don't like networking the right way. I do it my way. And by saying yes to this stupid thing that was kind of beneath me, like anybody else would be like, yeah, you're going to be a fucking extra for free. Fuck that. Like, even like extras, they make a minimum of $100. Like, it doesn't matter. I'll show up. Like, it doesn't matter. What else am
I doing?
Yeah. And like they fed me. I got to see a lot of boobies that day. A lot of boobs. And
you didn't know about the boobs in advance. I didn't know you agreed to it without even
that was just
foreknowledge of the boobs.
That was a perk, dude.
Foreknowledge? That's not a fucking word.
Yeah. And
foreknowing.
For knowing. And I built this relationship that I still have with this guy. Like, right. And it's just because I said fucking yes to the stupid thing.
It's not that
say yes.
It's
dude.
not about saying yes, though. I mean, first of all, I can't. Well, I mean, I have the limitations that I have, obviously, of starting a family, and I definitely feel like I could have achieved a lot more before I started a family. But here we are, so I'm not gonna lament that time. But like, really, what it was like, let's be fucking honest, is like, I struggled with drugs and alcohol for a long fucking time. Like, it was really, I had a really hard 20 years of that, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, because I think the best movie that I'm ever going to make is about, these certain times in my life. Yeah. But here I am, and
story fuel.
Yeah, it's fucking story fuel. It's fucking story fuel.
But that's part of, I think that's part of like, this is, again, we're circling this thing over and over again.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to sound really cliche, but that's part of being an artist, dude. Like, just like, okay, how could I write something if I haven't lived something? But you have. So it's like, it's cliche to say like, oh, it's fucking story fuel, but yeah, like that's like the good shit. Like,
it's
the
true.
bad shit, the bad shit in your life, the bad stuff in your life is really what makes up the good stuff in your life, which is your writing. Your whether you're making a song, writing a play, making a painting, like it's all the bad emotions. Think about all the songs that were made because someone broke up with somebody.
Right.
Because they felt immense pain. Think about all the movies or poems that were written because someone lost a parent. Like, it's just shit that you it's cliche, but it's all good for the artistic soul, I think.
Yeah, I guess
as long as you're not killing yourself, like, or you're hurting your body.
Yeah.
Which sometimes you do that in your youth. But I mean, we're still alive.
Yeah, I'm super grateful. Like, I'm really fucking grateful to be here and even be able to have this conversation and be able to be frustrated by the fact that I can't like put these words into onto the page yet. But yeah, I guess it's just showing up and doing the work and really having a fucking practice, I think, and like really organizing myself to like figure out what my process is for writing, and do I fucking outline, and how long does that process take, and what is my research time, like all that shit. I don't know, but I fucking over intellectualize everything too, though, and I'll be like, is this the right it's just fucking get out of my own fucking way, man.
And everybody has their own thing.
Angry at myself right now.
No, dude. Nah.
For like boring myself and others with the same fucking conversation all the time.
Maybe here's the thing: is that maybe you'll tell it enough.
Just talk my way out of it.
That you're talking your way out of it. Like, you don't. That's another thing that I'm like. The one thing I know is that like, there's nothing I would say. And I have this. We had this conversation literally yesterday. There's nothing I won't say that I wouldn't say to somebody's face.
Yeah.
That's how I think everybody should be. Like, if I talk shit about somebody, if the topic came up, I would say that to them, and I hope people would be just as honest with me. Like, and people have been, and it hurts. But then you're like, oh yeah, I gotta watch out. I have dickish tendencies, and then you course correct, and I mean, you're just talking out these feelings, and also you have to figure out what your method is. Like, what works for me is not going to work for you. It's just like anything, dude.
I know, and I'm excited for this. I am excited for whatever next project I really decide. Like, November 1st is when the first day of this next project. That's all me will actually be. Yeah, and I don't know, I have a couple movies bouncing around in my mind right now, and it's hard to just decide which is going to be the one. Do you have, like, when you have multiple ideas and multiple things that you want to do, like, what, I mean, I know you say you have a pilot and a feature that you're working on right now, but if you have multiple ideas of things that you want to pursue, like, what do you just like write a couple ideas down, just stash them in a notebook and focus on one? Like, what's your process like?
I think as of lately, I used to be hung up on all that shit, dude.
But I know, I keep asking fucking people what their process is. It doesn't matter. Just I gotta figure out my own fucking process.
Well, because also your process is gonna change. Like, your process right now is being, we're laying it all out. Your process is being neurotic,
right?
But eventually your process will change. Like, you won't know it until one day you're like, oh fuck, dude. Like even now, like, just talking it out, I'm like, oh yeah, I used to be that way, but now like. Now I prioritize, like, okay, who is this for, and what is this for? Do I have a contact where I could get this read? Or, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not writing anything that I want to see. That's the main goal. Again, that's how I had confidence with the ladies, I guess.
Right.
Is I'm not trying to impress somebody. I'm trying to impress. It has to be something I would go see. If it's not something I would go see or watch on TV, or if I read it and I'm like, nah, this is boring, I would not see this, which has happened so many times.
Right.
Where you get through like a first draft and you're like, this turns out to be a bullshit fucking idea. But you're like, but there's this character and he said this thing that I made him say, that was the only truth out of this bullshit fucking 30, 40, 100 page script.
Right.
So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take this one line that I like, and I burned 6 months out of my life, but I got this one great line.
Right.
And now I can use it somewhere else.
And maybe that's all that matters, is that one great line.
Yeah. So I right now I'm just prioritizing like what's okay. I know this person here, and they can get this read for me. But do I feel passionate about it? Like, am I gonna do it? Like, you were talking about doing things with friends and falling out, and I had one of my writing it's in the theater group. A professor said, "Don't do any artistic favors. Like, that's the worst thing you can do is an artistic favor. Like, if I ask you to be in my movie or my play, and you're doing it out of like, well, he's a nice guy, and I know he doesn't suck, but your heart isn't in it, then why do it?"
Yeah, there's a great power in saying no to those types of things.
Yeah, and I've done that before.
Right.
But I clarify, like, hey, I just know that my heart is not in this. Like,
right.
Your thing's cool. I'm just, I don't want to half-ass it. And then like you're going to regret it, and I'm going to regret it. And I like that we're friends. Like, let's just stay friends. And I'm going to say no to this. I'm sorry. And I think that's important. I've given directing jobs over to like my cousin, who's also like a director.
Oh, cool.
Because I didn't feel something. I'm like, oh, this is a cool story, and it's like cool, like serial killer story, and you have a budget, and you would basically, the first hump is like, oh, well, you don't want to put your own money into things. Right. You want other people to pay for it, and then, well, you not only want other people to pay for it, but you want to get paid for it. Okay, now so like in every step of the way you're progressing, and at that point when I turned this thing down, it was like a thing where like, hey, this thing has a budget, dude, and it's like, no, I know I'm not good. I'm not going to do a good job. So
right, and I'm
going to recommend you to somebody who that's their style. This is exactly like my cousin's style. Right. Let him fucking do it. And I thought he did a fucking great job directing it. Like I would have never gotten close to what he did because I didn't feel it.
And if you had taken something like that on, it would have actually probably complicated things in your career a little bit. It could have caused more harm than good.
Yeah.
How are you? Do you ask for help? Like, do you? 100%. I just feel like I'm fucking such a burden to be and I think it's because I'm approaching it the wrong way, and I think it's because I'm still like understanding what it means to like be an adult human and like understand that this is how people move forward, is helping other people, or like I don't know, that was not the right way to express that thought, but like I have a hard time asking for help, for sure.
You mean like to read something or something, or in what way? Be specific.
Well, so I find that I will ask for, maybe I'll ask the wrong people for the wrong things or something, or I'll ask the right person. So for example, I had a meeting with a pretty big producer. I had a meeting with a pretty big producer, and this guy has done a lot of shit, and he's definitely a contact who I can go have a meeting with, and he's produced very big movies, and he will take a meeting with me. And I mean, I guess maybe this is just the lesson that I'm learning, but like the last time I met with him, I was like, yeah, I just, I want to chat. And I'm really interested in acting right now. I just got representation and whatever, And I just went and I sat with him, and I just like didn't have a point really, except like, I would like to fucking be doing more in this business. How can you help me? I really love acting, and I think I'm good at it. Here's some reels of mine. But like, I should have gone into that meeting to be like, real fucking enthusiastic, like I have movie ideas, like I got shit, man, like how can we work together, and I don't know, I think maybe it's just a learning thing, but I don't know, I wouldn't, if I know somebody and I would like to get connected with that person, it might be really hard for me to ask that of you.
Yeah, but so back to the confidence thing. I think you had, like, again, I was saying, don't shoot for the goal. I think that's the key, but also be genuine with it. Like my thing that it's always worked 100% of the time is don't go for something you need. So you go in and it's like the way I would have approached it. It was like, hey, man, it was nice meeting you. It's great to have this contact with you. Do you mind having some coffee, some lunch, so I could pick your brain about the industry? You don't. It's not about you. You make it about them now. Like you're like, hey, I'd like to just kind of pick your brain about the industry. You seem like a really talented guy, and you're an interesting human being. So I would love to have the honor of like buying you coffee and just sitting and talking.
Right.
And then the first thing I've done that kind of works, but you have to mean it. I mean, you have to really mean it. Is, man, what's a pet peeve of yours? If this person's a producer, like, what's a pet peeve of yours with like what's the one thing that like bugs you about writers or directors or actors? And then they will just spill your guts because you're asking them about them, and now you're in a dialogue. Like, and now you know insider information. You know what they don't fucking like, and then you don't ask anything of that fucking meeting. You're like, fuck it, that's cool, man. Like, now I learned all these things about things they hate about writers or pet peeves, or like, I don't like when writers do this, or I don't like when actors do this. And you're like, oh, got it, cool.
Yeah.
Now I know that. And you go and you wait and you fucking send a thank you fucking email or a text, and then you let it sit there, dude. You plant that seed and let it sit there, and then eventually in a couple months you fuck that seed.
Right.
You know, like that's you know, again, don't go for the goal, go for shoot right next to it, and eventually somehow you'll get there. And I don't know, that's how I've done it, and that's how it's worked, because I just have to, I have confidence, but I also don't have the confidence to be like, hey, I need this, you have this. I have the confidence that I have this product that you need. I have to do it. To be confident, I have to do it in my way.
Right. Two things to that. I think on the one hand, I'm good with people. I mean, I could talk to fucking anybody and get along with anybody and really genuinely want to connect with people. I really am engaged, and I love listening to people talk about their story and whatever the fuck. I mean, I'm very, you know me.
Yeah.
I'm not a good strategist. I'm not like, oh, here's fucking how I can get to there by doing this. And I'm just not good at that, man. I'm just a visceral, you know, ball of emotion that is not controlled. So I don't really know how to get from 0 to step 9. And I think, again, it's probably that focus on step 9. Like, I just need to just focus on whatever the first stepping stone is. And the other thing, what is the other thing?
You kind of made your point, though. Like, the thing is that you have to be in the moment. You have to, just like in acting, like, you have to be in the moment, dude. Like, don't think about, like, this guy's going to get me in that movie that I want. This guy's going to get me. Be in the fucking moment, man.
The other thing that I've heard is to never ask the person for the thing that you want, but to like triangulate the situation basically, and like use the person to get to another person type of thing. Like, I don't know. That's like some fucking deep shit. Though.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that shit, man.
And even the thing that I told you is, I'm not being ingenuine, and it's just the way I feel confident going in. Like, if I went in the meeting going like, I'm at the end of this meeting, I'm gonna fucking pitch him my idea. That was fucking great. Even though I'm confident that maybe he would be interested, that's not how I feel confidence. That's really the key, is that I'm tricking myself into confidence.
Right.
Is the fact that if I play my ball game my way, I can always be confident.
Right.
Because I control the rules. I control this fucking poker game.
Yeah.
And I'm not strategizing at all. I'm just like, well, how can I get ahead? Well, maybe if I knew what he doesn't like, then I'll avoid that. Oh, fuck it. Let's go talk to him and see what he doesn't like about fucking writers.
Right. I think that's a big thing, though. Control, man. Like, I mean, we hit on this an hour and 23 minutes ago when we first started talking. Like, you're cool with the space that you occupy, and you're okay with, like, you know who you are, man. You're good with who you are, and you feel very in control of yourself and your situation. And I think that that's in those meetings, I'm thinking of this one particular meeting that I cited, like, I was definitely myself, but I was a fucking scared version of myself. Like, I just don't want to fuck this up, man. I don't want to, like all the little kid shit. I was like 7-year-old me or something.
Yeah. Because you're not controlling the situation.
Right.
You're out of control.
But I'm calling into my own podcast.
Yeah. See, exactly. If you had the variables to be like, okay, this is what I'm sure of, this is what I know, then I think that's where the confidence lies, man. Play. You got to play your ball game at your ballpark.
Right.
Got to have the home field advantage.
Right, but I moved to LA. This isn't my home field.
Make it. Find a restaurant that you like, a coffee shop.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Something that gives you fucking confidence, and that's where you have your fucking meetings. Or plus meetings. I don't like meetings. If I'm being 100% honest,
this is such a fucking pathetic conversation. I'm fucking disgusted with the self-help that I'm requiring from you. I mean, this is really this is a fucking embarrassment.
But I mean, it's a conversation that we're having, and I think, I don't know. I don't see it that way.
I think that I'll walk away from this with, significantly more tools and less self-loathing. The hope is that, like, when I leave this conversation with you, that I'm not just drowned in my embarrassment for being so vulnerable, but that I really, glean a lot from you.
I think that's your thing. Talk it out until until you're tired of it. And all you have is that little grain of truth.
It's just, I just think of all the people that would just the atrocious things they would say about me when I was, if this were 12-year-old me, but it's not. That's the craziest thing, is that it's not. I lived to 36, and I have I have so much that I'm grateful for,
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes I definitely, I think once I had a kid, I develop a different type of confidence.
Right.
Like, well, at the end of the day, I guess I'll see my kid when I come home. Like, it doesn't, all that other shit kind of fell, which sounds so cliche too, but it is. It's like, it's fine.
Oh, it changes everything. I mean, it changes everything. Although I say it changes everything, and simultaneously I'm feeling these ways. But parenthood fatherhood is the most gratifying experience of my life. I mean, it's
Do you think? I think you have to admit yourself that you become a little bit more confident because you have a kid. I think, if anything, for me, is because I had all this ego about things I wanted, things where I needed to be at a certain place, or at a certain time. Like, I'm not where I should be at this age. I'm not where I should be at this time and place. Right. But then I had a kid, and like, again, going back to like being an atheist, like, I realized like nothing else matters but the moment, and like,
that's Buddhist though too. I mean, that's very fucking Zen Buddhist.
I don't know
philosophy.
That's fucking. And my biggest thing that I got was like, I'm really here right now. If I'm seeing the whole picture, if I'm being completely honest to myself and open, and I say, I'm really here right now to give my kid memories.
Yeah,
good memories. And if I just concentrate on giving him like pretty decent memories and a good time, then I don't have to concentrate on my bullshit, whatever I'm neurotic about. And like, I don't know, that's, I think, another boost of confidence that I've gotten lately, is just like, fuck it, just do this thing. You're just here to give some cool memories to this kid and, make a good human being and not a piece of shit.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
That's fucking it. Everything else is a byproduct. Fuck it.
I agree. And I want to just leave it there and agree, but I have to talk about
Talk it out.
So I was like, yeah, I'll get a green screen, dude. and all like, so we can make some shit. He's like super into space, and he's got his brand new astronaut costume, and I'm like, fuck it, dude, I'm like skilled as a technician doing this shit, so like I can buy a green screen and light it and put you on the fucking moon.
Yeah. And
man, already I'm like thinking of somebody else. I don't know who this person's voice is that I always fucking hear in my head. Maybe it's my own, but just trashing whatever the thing is that I'm gonna do creatively with my 5-year-old son to make nice memories for him and make nice. Like I cut a little video that I shot of him and our cats just to like show him that you can do this, and cool, look, we shot this and now I cut it together and put music and it's this thing, and like I just give myself the most ruthless notes, I'm just like I just fucking hate myself.
Yeah, dude.
So
you need to talk this out until you can't talk it out.
I mean, anymore. I have a therapist I talk to weekly, and I'm having these kind of just I don't know what's gonna change it. I mean, I definitely buried it in a bottle for many years, but how the fuck I don't know, man. Just keep talking.
Keep talking, dude. Keep talking and then keep writing.
But then I'll get mad at myself for talking if nobody's listening.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like I don't, if it entertains me and if it entertains you, then it doesn't matter. Like we're here in the moment.
Oh, totally.
We're having a good time.
No, this is great.
So, again, dude, we probably said something personal that again, back to this, the kernel of the idea. There's gonna be something personal. We said that someone's going to be, if there's one person that listens to this and is like, man, I feel that way too. Then that made my day. It doesn't matter if it was one person in fucking India who listens to this and he works at a call center and all he wants to listen to is American podcasts because he wants to learn English. If he finds something interesting in this and personal, good for him, man.
I want to believe that. I do believe it, but I want that belief to take up more space than all the other beliefs. I'm also thinking about how fucking cool it would be if I could actually afford to license the national song that I want to play out the end of this podcast. But of course I have no money, and I guess
here's the thing. Here, if you review it, you're under a review thing. So I'm going to give a review about the National. They're a great band. I think they're amazing. If we talk about the National, you could play out anything because
this is a review now.
Yeah.
Oh, we reviewed it. It took 95 minutes, and then they were talking about Sleep Well Beast and how the latest record actually isn't.
Sleep Well Beast is a great album.
Last record, man.
I haven't found a record of theirs that I've been like, nah, not interested. Like everything at the right time, right place. The last one,
I think maybe I just need to like revisit it in a different time and space, because that happened with High Violet for me, and it happened with.
I love Violet.
No, I love it too, and the fucking other one that came after it, I guess. Whatever the fuck, Trouble Will Find Me.
Trouble Will Find You. Yeah,
I actually really got into that one a lot too, but I felt sometimes what happens with me with a great band is like after an album like Boxer, I was like, there's nothing, they can't do anything else after this that I don't know, it happened with the Strokes too, Is This It, and then Room on Fire, and then I tried to love First Impressions of Earth, and then it just got hard to love them.
Yeah. See,
but now I adore everything they've done, and I see it in a completely different context. I'm like, Angles is a good record,
We literally talked. Remember when the latest Strokes album came out? I was literally because we had a Strokes conversation.
Always
a stroke conversation.
We've had multiple Strokes conversations. We've had Albert Hammond Jr. covers. We might have even had Voids conversations.
I think we did. Yeah, I think I got into Voids because of you, and I think that day. So the album came out on Friday, and that Saturday I took a drive. It was like already during quarantine. We were trying to get out of the house, and we just drove down PCH. We like got drive through. We didn't stop anywhere. We took a little like potty thing for the kid to just pee on the side of the road if he needed to. And we're just gonna drive. We gotta get out of the house. And I'm like, there's a new Strokes album. I'm gonna put it on. And And I fucking loved it.
I loved it.
And I played it all the way through, and it was like, that's great. And then I literally, like, a day or two after, I was like, I should text Nick. And then you
and I texted
me.
you.
Yeah. I was like, God damn it, dude.
I bought it on vinyl, actually. I was so excited. I mean, I still am excited by that album. I love them. I love Julian. I love Albert. Like, I just love those fucking dudes. And, I'm sure it's because I idolized them when I was, 17, 18, 19. Like, they were like, My Velvet Underground or something, they were like, They really fucking mean a lot to me. And what's crazy, just to never not be neurotic, but like, having this conversation with you that we just have happened over the last like 2-3 minutes is so much more. I'm so excited and like in such good spirits, and like maybe like the trick is to just stop dwelling on other shit and talk about the shit that really excites me, that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
Maybe like that'll actually help.
Maybe you should end every podcast with like, hey, what are you listening to right now?
Yeah, exactly.
And that way you could not only can you play that out, but it leaves you with a happy fucking note. The song that I've been kind of obsessing over lately is the new national album, the last song called Light Years. It's really slow. It's really like melodic, and that's the song I've been obsessing with lately. Like sometimes I'll just play that song over and over like 10 times.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm glad that this last few minutes brought you back up, dude.
Yeah. It's not. I just want to be.
Now, don't think about it. Don't steal that from me, dude. Don't steal that from yourself. We did it, dude. This was a beautiful 3 minutes, dude.
We did it. Yeah, we fucking did it. We did it. Well, listen, I would actually really love to act in something, and I've gotten honest feedback that I'm talented at it. So if you ever need me for a thing, or fucking need pigeonhole me however you need to, but understand that I have fucking range too, No,
yeah.
I cry, man. I'm surprised I didn't start crying tonight. But
but also if I ever offer you something and you don't, if you're like,
fucking turn
my heart's
it down.
not gonna be in it.
Yep, no, I'll turn it down in a minute.
You gotta turn it down.
Yeah, you gotta
you're
turn
like
it down.
I don't want to play a stereotype or whatever it is, dude. Like, it's just, you got to be honest with yourself too,
Yes, people have been like, just you gotta wear a suit and slick back your hair, and you gotta play exactly what, and that'll get you in the door. It's like everybody has this, dude. Everybody has advice, and it's all at odds with itself. I don't know if you've found that, but like not this, totally. Not this conversation with you is great.
Even the no.
The flippant advice is really.
If you write down everything we've talked about throughout the whole podcast, everything contradicts itself. Everything contradicts
I'm gonna have
itself.
to cut this. I'm gonna have to actually like do this work. Now I need let me know if you know anybody who wants to be an intern. I'll pay them, dude. I'll pay somebody a flat rate, but then I would have to give away all my, they would they'd let them in so much,
Yeah.
I'm fucking really intimate to let somebody in to that degree,
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying something. I just railroaded you again.
I know. No. I don't know what I was talking about. Probably some bullshit. No, I don't remember what I was talking about. I remember what I was talking about now.
Just wait for it.
I just had this. So I got a new job recently.
Congratulations.
And thank you, man. And it was one of those things where it's like, so they like call me on a Monday. It's like, hey, you want to set up a meeting for tomorrow? And I was like, sure, why not? And it went in with like, it doesn't matter if I get this or not. It'd be cool, but I have something. Like, it's fine. Everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And I like, people were like, are you nervous for this thing? I was like, no, not at all. Like, it's just another thing, dude. It's not fucking important. And then I did the meeting, and at the end, I knew somebody who had interviewed for a similar job at this place, and they had like 4 interviews. And at the end of my interview, they're like, so what do you think? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's like, do you want to take a chance? I'm like, oh, are you offering me the job? I'm like, yeah. Oh, then yeah. Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, wow, it's like on the spot. And I'm like, maybe it was, I don't know what it was, but maybe because I wasn't thinking about it. I was worried about other things. I was worried about being busy with the work I currently had,
Right.
and not thinking about like next week or acing this fucking, as I call it, job audition.
Right.
And you know, I don't know.
Yeah, you can't reek of desperation, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying that. I guess, how do I even say what I'm trying to say? Yeah, you just, if you don't want the thing, you're going to get it. Or if you do want it, but don't show that you want, I don't know. That's fucking, you know, you went in there with no care in the world. So obviously you leave with the job.
I knew deep down that I wanted it. I knew deep down that I wanted it, and it would feel good to get it. But at the end, but also it's like, expect the best, but prepare for the worst, you know?
Right.
And it was fine. I was like, if I didn't get it, I was going to be fine. It was a good experience for me to do the interview. It was another person that I might have met just with the interview and going, okay, maybe I'll talk to her in a year and see if she's ready for this asshole.
You said yes.
Yeah.
Again.
Said yes to the dress.
It just keeps fucking serving you, man. Well, this has been very cathartic conversation. I feel like I'm slipping back down. I'm gonna put on Sleep Well Beast now and drift into my. Do you know how many nights I've just like put headphones on and drank like 6 vodkas and listened to Sleep Well Beast and be like, this they get me. That speaks to everything, all my truths.
Again, dude, we're going back to that point. There's something that they wrote that's fucking personal that you got that's universal.
Oh, right.
And you don't know it, but they buried it in there somewhere in one of the lyrics and one of the fucking guitar melodies in some fucking drum beat.
I don't think they buried it though. I think
no, they didn't. No. I think it's very clear.
It's very clear.
Yeah.
I will say that I feel a lot better. You know, normally Friday night 9 p.m. I would have been an hour and 45 minutes in this conversation. I would have been slurring so hard you would have no idea what I was even saying. I would have stopped making sense like 45 minutes ago. So it's nice to actually have to be a couple minutes late to this party because I was letting tea steep rather than like pouring my 5th wine that I drank before I even joined Zencaster and turned myself over to Ricardo.
Yes, there you go, dude. You're evolving, dude. You're evolving before your very fucking eyes.
I think that maybe if I was able to actually look at myself in an honest way, I've really actually come a long way from the guy I was last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Like, but that's hard.
Can I ask you a weird thing?
Please.
It's about people and about. Do you ever feel weird when you feel like you hijack friends or acquaintances? You know, does that feel weird to you?
I don't. There's only really been one instance of that in my life.
It's not even hijacking like a friend. I'm just saying like we met through a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And then like we've had like interesting deep conversations. We've had dinners together.
Sure.
And I always feel guilty for some reason.
Oh yeah, when we went to that dinner, a part of me felt a little bit of guilt that like I've never gone to dinner with that friend, but it's not because I don't like that friend. I mean, I don't know. You just meet. You're just more simpatico in certain areas with some people than others. I have this friend in particular. I have a lot of love for that person. And I think about that person often, and I reach out to him all the time, and we're very in touch. And like, I wish him the best constantly. And I know exactly what you're talking about. So yes, I do, but.
I just thought of that right now because we were in the middle of this like deep conversation. I'm like, man, I still feel like that deep down. Like that's the one thing, I guess that's my like weakness is like, I don't ever feel like I don't like I like loyalty, but also like, it's like, I get it. Like, I don't want to overstep over somebody else's loyalty. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
But it's not like I was It's not like I was with that person. I know,
No,
but I
no,
know,
no,
and
no.
I know it's a friendship. I get it, dude. I actually, yes. At first, I was hesitant, but yes, I 100% understand what you're saying. If it's not like a happenstance of a meeting and it's through a friend, it's like, fuck, man. Does that person need to be shepherding and chaperoning? Yeah, everything that we do together.
Yeah. Even though, like I left that dinner like. It was like, man, it was a good conversation. I felt good about it. Man, that was fun. And then deep down, driving home, I was like, man, do I feel fucking guilty?
I felt guilty. I actually feel guilty. I felt guilty when I was like, I would love to talk to Ricardo for the show. I felt guilty because this friend I love dearly and he's super supportive and he's probably fucking listening, and I hope he understands that I earnestly adore him.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I'm not cutting
we
this
fuck
shit
around
out.
a lot, but I do really like that guy.
Totally.
Yeah. So there you go. We ended up on a weird topic, but it's something that I'm always curious about with people. Like,
you're gonna have to send me a cease and desist to cut that. Because I'm not cutting it.
I don't want you to cut anything. I told you,
see,
dude.
That's fucking beautiful. That like. The fact that you're not like, oh, I don't know if I should say that thing. I
would have said it to him.
Right.
I would have said it to him.
But like, anything in general in this whole conversation, you're just very open and honest, and like you own your shit. And like if you feel this way and are going to speak this way, you'll speak this way to me or the vice president of the company you're working at. Because it's like you have that fearlessness of like, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm owning my truth and like speaking my truth, and whatever happens, I'll know that I was my authentic self. At least that's how I really perceive you in the world. And I think it's really fucking admirable.
Well, thank you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it, man.
Well, keep doing it, man.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for having me on. It's good, dude. This is good.
Yep.
It's a good thing you're doing.
Yep. And hopefully,
it's healthy.
Hopefully, like, episode 50, I'm fucking reading an ad from stamps.com.
Yeah, dude. You want to sell out.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, my God. Yes. All I want to do is fucking get enough people listening to this motherfucker that I can actually sell some fucking ad space, dude.
You got to get that sleepy tea thing, dude. So I have a podcast and I keep dropping E's to see if they'll fucking send me some weed. And like I'm like a co-host on this podcast, and the guy's like, dude, you gotta stop doing that because you're giving them free fucking advertising. And I'm like, I don't care, we need to get fucking ease on this thing,
right?
But yeah, dude, you gotta get sleepy time tea. Whatever tea you're drinking, that's what you gotta get.
Yeah, dude, because
the shit you really like
dude, people don't want that shit. People do not want what I have. They're not gonna want to drink tea to go to this place, man. There's fuck, man. All right. Well, hopefully I see you like in the flesh sometime soon. That would be cool. I don't know how we'll ever see each other again. I don't know how I'm ever going to see any other fucking human being again. This shit is crazy.
Will, man.
Cool.
All right, man.
Cool, man.
We'll call it a night.
Let's call it a night. Get some good rest. Sleep more than 5 hours, man. Yeah. It'll tack on to the end of your life.
I know.
You've been sleeping for miles, so what did you see? Hear the sky's been falling white flowers, and there's ice in all the trees. I've been tapping the table. I've been hoping to drink. There's a line that goes all the way from my childhood to you. Can't you find a way? Can't you find a way?